Hello and welcome to the Breaking Muscle podcast, where we dig into the practices of coaches who are getting it right across the fitness industry. I am Pete Hitzman, your host for today's show, and the managing editor at BreakingMuscle.com. When you're on the road as much as I tend to be, finding some place to work out becomes part of your travel planning. I do my homework as best I can to find out about the facility, the programming, and the level of coaching I might expect for my drop-in dollars. Still, my experiences as a visitor in gyms across the country tend to follow a bell curve. Most of the time, they're just pretty good. On rare occasions, I'll leave a gym feeling happy that I never have to go there again. Rarer still is the drop-in experience that leaves me seriously considering packing up the house and moving to another state, just so I can go to that gym more. But that was exactly the feeling I had after spending a week training, laughing, and being embraced by the community at Max Oxygen CrossFit Downtown in lovely Des Moines, Iowa. Yep, you heard me right, Iowa. What I experienced at Max Oxygen was everything positive you read about CrossFit gyms. The coaching was on point, the programming was thoughtful, the facility was top-notch, and the community felt like a family reunion even though I'd never met anybody there previously. What I observed that week was a clear example of a gym being run right, so I had to sit down with their director of operations, Jess, to find out how they do it. Jess is young as a coach, but possesses a professionalism and a passion for her craft that surpasses most coaches who have been in the industry for decades. That fire has lit the torch for her other coaches as well, and permeates the whole culture of the box. Exactly how fast does Jess burn? She recently became Iowa's second female CrossFit Level 3 certified trainer just 2.5 years after first getting her L1. She and I cover how her staff works to actively sculpt and cultivate their culture from the top down, their unique plans for the Open this year, and how they've prepared their athletes at all levels to have the best experience possible. She explains the direct approach she uses with new and prospective athletes to dispel their misconceptions about CrossFit, and how her education and experience as a mental health professional has shaped her coaching. Before we get started, I just want to remind you that if you haven't already subscribed to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, go make it happen. And while you're there, be sure to leave us a rating and a review. Share your favorite episodes with your friends so we can continue to grow our audience. And as always, if you have comments or suggestions for the show, be sure to email them to editorial@breakingmuscle.com. Joining us this week on the last episode of the Breaking Muscle podcast before the CrossFit Open begins is Jessica Pilling. She is the Director of Operations for Max Oxygen CrossFit Downtown in lovely Des Moines, Iowa. Thank you, Jess, for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Fun fact about Jess, she is the second and most recent Level 3 certified CrossFit trainer in the wonderful state of Iowa. Tell me about that whole journey to get to L3.
It was a process for sure. When we went to our level 1, and I kind of sat down and I looked at the different avenues that you could take with the different CrossFit courses, I noticed that there was level 2 and level 3, and I thought somewhere down the road I'll want to take those, and I kind of gave myself a 10-year plan, and within 2.5 years I'm at my level 3. So the past year I have been studying, reading CrossFit Journal articles every day, studying the specific material that CrossFit has laid out for level 3 candidates, and taking what I've learned each day and applying that into my classes that I coach that day and then that week, and really making sure I understood the material.
I mean, 2.5 years, you said, from L1 to L3?
Yep.
That's insane. Like, just the amount of material you have to cover in that short amount of time is, I mean, that's like a crash course master's degree practically.
Yeah, well, I took my master's degree online, so I know how to study pretty independently. So maybe that's how I got it. I don't know. Once I get into something and I get a little obsessed with it and I want to learn more, and being a coach, and I hope any coach is this way, that, once you have all eyes on you, you want to do the best that you possibly can. So the more you know, the better you can be and the better your athletes can be.
Absolutely. And it's telling that it's not just you at the gym who has chased down further education in CrossFit coaching methodologies. How many L2s do you guys have?
We have 4 other L2s, and then we've got lots and lots of other CrossFit specialty course credentials that we really believe in the pursuit of excellence, and we believe that CrossFit provides the opportunity to give you the best possible potential to be the best coach.
And I think that that's only half of the equation of what you guys are doing there. And I'll rewind the tape a little bit to kind of cover why the heck I'm talking to a CrossFit coach from Iowa. That doesn't sound like our normal fare on this podcast, but last summer I had the opportunity to spend a week in downtown Des Moines, which ended up, and this is a whole other story, ended up being way more fun than I expected the capital of Iowa to be, but it had a great time. If you're ever traveling and you want to do it on a budget, go stay at an Airbnb in downtown Des Moines. You'll have a fabulous time. But just so happened, the place we were staying was a block and a half from your old building or from your old space. And so we walked in because it was convenient and we could walk there from from the place we were staying, and walked into probably the best drop-in CrossFit experience I've had of the dozens that I've had in all my traveling around the country. And it was almost weird because we were there for a week and I'm like, man, I'm really going to miss that gym. Not something I normally say after my drop-ins. I've had a handful of drop-in experiences where I was like, I hope I never see that place again. And I've had a handful that were pretty good. But I genuinely miss going to your gym, even though we were only there 4 times. How do you guys create such a culture there that is everything people say CrossFit is?
I truly believe it comes from the top down. So we have 3 different individuals that own our box, and one of them works for CrossFit HQ. So our motto is CrossFit in its true meaning: keep it simple, do less better. And so we as coaches and I as the manager really have bought into that. We believe that, and so we what your individual values are and your values as a team gets brought into your gym and ultimately makes the culture and the community, and it encourages the members or the individuals that will be members to come to your box and to be a part of that. So I really believe it's from the top down.
It definitely is from the top down, and it's telling that everybody who I experienced as a coach there over our week was reading from that same sheet of music. Is this something that you guys have periodic meetings of the coaches to get that sorted out, or did that just does it just perpetuate itself?
No, I would say it's something that certainly we come together on nearly a monthly basis and we do coaching developments. We've been talking about goals that we have for ourselves as well as for our gym as a whole, and coaching development goals. And just being sure that we communicate the right message, that at the end of the day, as long as your members are leaving sweaty and smiling, you've accomplished your goal. We don't care how much weight is lifted or if you don't have a pull-up yet. We're working on putting those pieces together. And if you feel better than when you walked in the door as you're leaving, we've met our goal for the day.
How do you balance that that mindset with the need to show progress? So obviously, members leaving sweaty and smiling takes care of part of the equation, which is to keep people happy enough that they create a positive feedback loop so they keep coming back. But do you run into people who leave sweaty and smiling because maybe they aren't pushing hard enough to get the right stimulus to actually move forward?
No. So when we meet at our whiteboard, when we do our WOD briefing, we talk about, this is the intent for the day. This is the goal for this workout, and this should be the time capacity that we're looking at, to make sure everybody's on the right page. And then we'll go through several scaling options, whether you're going to do it RX or you're going to do it scaled 3 levels down, depending on how long you've been here, how your body's feeling for the day, and what are your ultimate goals. And then we, just like any CrossFit workout it's essentially a group workout, but it's personal training at the same time because it's scaled and fit for you.
So you mentioned you went 2.5 years from L1 to L3. How long were you doing CrossFit before that, and how did you even come into this world?
I started CrossFit a little over 6 years now, and I was a marathon runner, long distance runner. Anything under 10 miles would be considered short distance for me. And I had done over 30 half marathons and I believe 20 full marathons. Now I can't even remember because it's in such another life now. multiple marathons. And I found myself, I was getting injured and my hips were hurting, my knees were hurting. And my husband had said, you need to lift weights. You don't need to just be running all the time, because I was wanting to qualify for Boston. And, that's like the marathoner's dream goal, is to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So we did some Googling and some research, and he said CrossFit would be the best option for you, because I don't know anything about lifting weights. And we found a CrossFit box. Back then, there were 2 CrossFit boxes in Des Moines, and now in the area, there's well over 20. So it was very still up and coming back in the day.
So now that there's 20 CrossFit boxes in town and you're running arguably the biggest or best one in the middle of it, how do you kind of differentiate from all of the other boxes? Because this is something that's facing all of CrossFit as a reality, is that the level of competition is completely topped out in most metro areas. I mean, even in my area in Ohio, we've experienced the same thing. From like 2006 or 7 to today, there's 25 boxes within a half-hour drive. How do you guys set yourself apart?
I would say that our true value is in the coaching and in the workouts that we bring each week to the whiteboard. We are not a competitor's box. I mean, if you'd like to compete, you certainly can, but we're not going to tailor to you. We are an everyday athlete coming in, training for life. I would say that, each box you look at has a completely different culture and different style of programming. And, so very quickly you'll see what is the right fit for you, regardless of what community you're in. You step in and you're going to know, like, this is the right fit for me or this isn't, very quickly with the community and the coaching and, your gut feeling of it.
And gut feeling does play in for sure. You mentioned that you've mentioned 2 things, and I want to kind of zoom in on those for a second. You have an ownership team at Max Oxygen, and also the programming, which you don't do, you get the programming. And that's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of gyms, whether or not they should write their own programming in-house. Tell me about how this came to be, and how it works having the programming done remotely.
Sure. So yeah, we have 3 individuals that co-own our box, and none of them live in the area, actually. So I'm kind of the eyes for them and report back to the 3 guys that own the box. Mm-hmm. And our programmer, he actually is one of our co-owner's brothers and also works for CrossFit HQ. And we have a really good communication back and forth, and knowing what are some weaknesses that we're seeing in the programming, or what workout went longer than we'd intended or shorter than intended based on how our athletes move. And his name's Brent, and he makes those adjustments based on the feedback that I give him. Would fail miserably at programming workouts. That is not something that I'm strong at, and it's something that I would not enjoy.
Well, and that's important to recognize, right? I've had this discussion with coaches, both in person and online, a whole bunch of times. And for me, programming is something that I do enjoy. I'm a creative type, so I like to get in there and move those variables around and come up with things. And for me, that's very fun. And I'd like to think that I'm okay at it for where I'm at as a coach. But if that's not your bag, like, you have a very good chance of creating something that's counterproductive for your athletes. And if your skills are biased in a different direction, more in-person, more technical, more whatever, then I think that you would be doing your athletes a disservice by kind of pridefully keeping that programming in-house when you have this resource who obviously knows what he's about. He works for CrossFit. Like, it's not like you're asking some Joe up the street to, write your programs for you.
Right. And, when the coaches believe in the programming, and you see the coaches working out, doing this work at the radio with the athletes, I mean, that also goes to show that, yes, this programming is good programming. You will improve, you will stay healthy, you will do better if you follow what we're doing.
And the proof's in the pudding, as you say. I mean, if the people who have been going to your gym, not just the 0 to 6 month athletes, but the athletes who have been there for 2 years plus, and they're still making progress, then what you're doing is clearly effective. You guys also have a really unique approach to how you do the open. You have a really cool thing I've been spying on your Facebook. Tell us about what you guys have set up for this week.
So this is the first year we're doing Friday night lights, and we thought change of location, like let's change it up completely and see what Friday night brings versus our Saturday mornings, which we had been doing in the past. And we're also doing an intramural team. So next Tuesday, we're going to be doing a draft, and I don't know how you do drafts because I don't do that for any fantasy leagues, but we'll figure that out. And we're going to have our coaches are going to be our captains on depending on how many people sign up for our intramural open. We will split up the coaches as evenly as we can, and then we will be competing within our box for various things. And it's all about participation in community. It's all about fun. If you PR, if you do a workout RX, like, yes, absolutely, we're going to celebrate that. But you're not going to get any extra points for doing that. You're going to get points for showing up, for doing the workout, whether it's at 5 a.m. or if it's at Friday Night Lights. We hope that's our biggest event. But we also understand that we've got families and parents, and they have, their kids have commitments and they can't find a sitter for Friday night. So we're offering it for our morning classes and then our noon class too, so that everybody has a chance to participate.
So, and the winner of the team series, as it will, gets
bragging rights for sure. I think we're going to make a shirt. People love apparel, so they'll get their own specialized shirt if they're the winning team. And then they don't know this yet, so they'll find out about this when the podcast airs. But we're going to be doing a Spirit of the Open Awards, just like the Spirit of the Games. And sure. Each week, people are going to be able to vote on who showed what is truly Max Oxygen CrossFit Downtown about, what is the Open all about, and so people are going to be really watching each other and hopefully getting more into it and more encouraging and motivating and staying for that last heat of people going to end up with the Spirit of the Open. So we'll see how that turns out. We're excited. Something we're putting, the Open on a whole nother level this year, and we'll see what happens.
I think it sounds like a ton of fun, and I wish I was going to be around so I could come and see what the fun is. The Open presents a really unique coaching challenge, right? It's something that all the CrossFit gyms do. They all do it a little bit differently, but the challenge is managing sort of the expectations and the experience of all of the different levels of athletes that every CrossFit gym has. So I want to kind of run through maybe the beginner CrossFitter who wants to do the Open anyway. And there are some coaches who will advise their beginners not to do the Open, depending on where they're at. And then kind of your intermediate athlete, which I always say is the most dangerous athlete in the gym because they think they know stuff. And then sort of your advanced athletes who really want to get out there and push themselves. How do you kind of manage each of those groups?
We actually had 3 athletes that did our January foundations last year and had signed up to the Open. So within 6 weeks of their first CrossFit class. So, we've got it. We've done this since the beginning of January. We do this every year. Open WOD Wednesday, and we kind of set the standards and preparation so people can feel confident coming in. This is what the Open's going to be like. So we take these past Open workouts and we repeat them. And they never know what one we're going to do each week, which kind of makes it exciting too. And we'll talk about this is what the ARC standard is for the Open. This is what the scaled standard is for the Open. If you can't do either one of those, then we also have the master standard for our individuals. And then we can further scale that down based on your strengths and weaknesses and how new you are to CrossFit. Even something as a hanging knee raise for some individuals might be a challenge if they don't have that grip strength. So then the coaches will go through the different scaling options to make sure that people are still getting a workout in, they're feeling successful, and they can still write a score on the board at the end of the class.
So that's kind of your entry-level expectation management. We want to get you through the workout. We want to get you through the workout safely so you can put a score on the board. Then with your intermediate athletes who can probably do most of them RX sort of and post a score, or maybe they're on that, like I'm perpetually on the bubble between RX and scale based on, what movements are present and what technical skills that might challenge me with. So how do you kind of help somebody out mentally, I guess, who has that RX chip on their shoulder, as it were?
I would say, so we've had a couple individuals where maybe last year they did it as scaled, and this year they know that they can do, let's say they know they can do toes to bar, but maybe they can't do 15 toes to bar. I would challenge them that they're going to do that workout RX as long as they can until they hit a failure point, and then they can drop down to scaled and do knee raises or whatever the scaling option is for that, to give them some more exposure into higher reps and with a little bit of pressure, because we also, for most of our classes on Open WOD Wednesday, we have another athlete judging them. So they have that experience as well. So athletes know what to look for, making sure that their reps count, going through that emotional feeling when they get no reps, and really, really like setting it up so where when they walk in for 18.1, they're going to know what to expect.
Have you had to, like, it happens in normal weekly WODs, right? Like sometimes you'll have to go in and say, hey, you need to knock some weight off the bar, or hey, maybe you're done with this workout now, or something. I mean, not all the time, but it does happen. Is that something you've had to do in the open before?
I don't think so. Really, the workouts, most of the time, if it's a max weight, you're going to be limited to how much you can lift. Or if you're going to attempt double unders in the workout and you don't have double unders like 17.5, you're going to get time capped. I mean, it's simply, so it's set up nicely to where you don't have to do a lot of, like, you can't do that. I mean, let them try, and they're going to be limited by their own ability at that point.
Gotcha. Okay, and then for your more experienced athletes during the open, do you do any kind of special preparation for them in terms of, additional skill work, or making sure they're on maybe some extra strength work in the late part of the year before the open or something like that?
No, not at all. We really, for our athletes that have been around for several years, have done several opens and can do the movement RX, Open on Wednesday for them, starting the first week of January, that's their time to give everything they have, and looking back at past scores and making sure that they're continuing to PR, whether that's, get more rounds in, more reps, or lift a heavier weight, and maybe not every week they're going to be able to do that, but talking to the athletes that have been around for several years, our programming is on the right track, because I would say 90% of the time they've PR'd their workouts on Wednesdays. So we don't encourage anything extra. I mean, we'll do skill work in our workout as part of our programming, just like we would accessory work on certain days, but we really don't advocate that you need to do more. I mean, we really believe do less better. Work on mastering your air squat, or work on the hollow rock hold, which is what we did for January, over doing lots of extra reps or heavier weight, because that will come when form improves.
I like that Open WOD Wednesday ends up being almost universally applicable preparation anyway, right? Like for the new people, you mentioned the experience of being judged for the first time can really throw some people off.
Yeah.
And likewise for, for your more experienced competitors, the ability to really pull that trigger hard and get into that competition mindset and practice, their mental lead up or whatever it is that they need to do to get prepared to go hit it. It helps them out as well. So I like that as a broadly applicable tool.
It also gives our coaches a good refresher if they haven't taken the judges course, which is a requirement for all of our coaches, and anybody else that wants to judge during our open events. We have them do that little course. But it also gets the coaches excited and gets them reminding them exactly what the standards are, what they need to look like, and getting comfortable with telling an athlete that's not a rep. Because for some time, athletes are working really hard, and so it's hard to say, nope, I can't count that. Where for us, I think we have no problem with saying, no, we got to strip the bar, we got to lighten the weight, or we've got to have you do a scaling option for pull-ups when it's a safety issue. But when there's a lot of effort being put in and they're still not getting the reps, sometimes that can be hard for a coach to say that's still not meeting the standard that we need. So Wednesdays is the day to get comfortable in that area again.
Well, and judging is a skill too, right? Like one of the things that kind of surprised me the first year or maybe 2 years that I did the open is like judging is really hard because the movements are happening very fast. There's a lot of things to look at, and it's equally hard, I think, to judge a beginner as it is to judge somebody who's very good, because somebody who's very good is moving a lot faster, and a lot of times their movements are so efficient that they're right on the edge of the movement standard, like hitting depth on a wall ball, like right on the edge. Likewise, if somebody is brand new, it's hard to make sure that they're hitting the movement standards when maybe their movement quality isn't so good. So your first instinct is to maybe coach them, but that's not what you're there to do. So there's a whole bunch of things you have to like mentally prepare yourself, and sometimes you have to count very fast in the middle of it. So I think, getting that practice as a judge for several weeks leading into the Open is a really good idea too.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It's double unders. It's always good to refresh on the double unders. I feel like that's probably the most challenging one. And really looking for, those athletes that have been doing this for several years, that they're going to move as fast as they can and try to, be as efficient as possible. So that is flirting with parallel or whatever the standard suits. Really, it really improves your coach's eye as well.
Definitely. So you've been knocking down certifications and getting master's degrees and running a gym full time and all of these other things. What does your training life look like right now? Like, do you get to train at all?
Yeah, I do. I will take a group class. I am doing a lot of coaching, which I absolutely love. We've started a CrossFit Teens program, and I am the coach for that class a couple nights a week. That's been really fulfilling and exciting to see those teens walk in and know nothing about CrossFit. Some of them were never even athletes, and they decided they were going to do CrossFit, and watching their progress and their confidence grow has been the best part of it. For me, training is one workout a day in a group class. Very rarely will I do it on my own unless there's a day where I'm coaching most of the classes. And yeah, just doing the best I can with that hour a day, and continuing to still see some PRs and see some improvements, but nothing more than that.
You mentioned the kids in the teens program that you guys are running. One of the things that we've heard as a continuing theme on the podcast week to week is the lack of physical literacy that a lot of kids and teens have now because of the de-emphasis of physical education in schools, and the fact that there's so much more opportunity to sit down and hold still now than there was when maybe you and I were kids. How have you guys sort of witnessed that and then kind of worked to address that through your kids and teens programs?
I would say, the moment that these kids walk in, or if they've been sitting here watching their parents work out, we get them moving, and we teach them through, they're not going to be standing at the whiteboard. They're going to be doing some squats. It's those little parts of putting education in between their reps or in between their sets, or as we break it down, is really what's the most valuable part for the kids, I think. Keep them moving, make sure they're having fun, and if they learn how to do a squat, or they learn how to jump rope, like the CrossFit kids, they learn how to jump rope for the first time, which I was shocked that most of them had not jump roped before. So I think, I don't know what they're doing in PE class, but at the end of the day, they're having fun, and they're taking back that little bit of knowledge, and hopefully they're using it on the playground and messing around with their friends with it. But just making sure that fitness is fun, because we want them to love it, and we want them to continue to do that for their whole life. And it's certainly should never be something that's a punishment.
And that is a crucial thing, right? There is so much negativity placed around physical effort in society at large, but especially for kids. It's like, oh, go walk around for 30 minutes. Well, that's boring. People, if you want to punish your kids now, you send them outside, where when you and I were kids, we had to be told to come inside at the end of the day. So when you guys are bringing in new members and you have foundations classes several times a year or once a month, or when do you run those?
We have them at least once a month,
Okay.
Which would be a week long. And it really depends on if there's a need. If I have at least 3 people that want to do foundations, I'll throw in another one. So it's very flexible.
Okay. What kind of myths or misconceptions do you have to kind of overcome with people who either are already in the foundations class or are kind of on the fence about it and talking to you about coming to join the gym?
That's actually a question that I will ask on day one for their foundations is, when you think of CrossFit, what do you think of? And I hear intimidating, lots of muscles, intense, and work really hard, which all of those things are true, right? It's certainly intimidating by taking that first step, and walking through the door is probably the hardest part for people, because when they look at these other athletes in group class, they are fit and they are healthy and they are moving well and they're lifting weight and they're doing gymnastics. They're doing things that, just like when I walked through the door, I could not do and I never imagined I'd be able to do. After going through foundations and getting a little more comfortable with seeing the group classes run, which there's usually a group class running at the same time that I have foundations, and they feel a little bit more confident by their last day of foundations. And another part that I'll do is I'll ask them which class are they planning on attending, tell them who that coach will usually be for that class, and then giving the coaches information about the athletes that are coming into their classes so that they can feel prepared to help them with different scaling options. Even if they've never seen the move before, they kind of know this is where they're going to be at for the first couple of weeks. Help them as needed.
So it's kind of on both ends. You prepare the athlete for the challenges they're going to face moving up, and then you prepare the receiving coach, as it were, for whatever challenges they're going to be taking on with the new athlete.
Yep, absolutely.
In a former life, you were a therapist.
I was.
While you were a marathoner, you were a therapist, and some people would say that being a marathoner means you should see a therapist, especially at the level that you were doing them. But how has your practice, and you maintain a license still with the state of Iowa, how has that mental health therapy knowledge and support dovetailed into your coaching?
So when you go to the level one, they talk about you kind of putting on a show or making that hour that you're coaching those athletes the best part of their day. So it is a little bit about putting on a show. And it's also about being a therapist, which is absolutely true. You don't know what else is happening in the 23 hours a day that the athletes are not in your care and in your class. And sometimes people are coming in to work out for a different reason. Maybe it's not to get a new PR. Maybe it's not to be the fastest that they can be today. Maybe it's simply because they had a terribly stressful day at work and they must go to the gym, work off the stress or frustrations from their boss or their coworkers or employees before they're able to function and go home and be that family member to their family again. It could also be, we've had several where they're using CrossFit to help with their mental health, to help with anxiety, to help with depression, to help with other health issues, which, it all goes together, right? Mental, emotional, and physical. If you don't have one of those, if one of those is not working well for you or you're struggling in that area, then the other two are going to tend to suffer. So you can't look just at the wellness part of it. You have to look at it all to be part of that support for the individuals in your gym.
Yeah, that's something that I've worked to kind of reinforce with the athletes that I coach privately, is that if something isn't going right with your training and you feel like you're following the program pretty diligently, then you have to zoom out. You have to look at the bigger picture. What else is going on in your life? What's your sleep quality like? What's your nutrition been like? What's your stress level like? You lost your mom 6 months ago and you just haven't really had the fire in the gym since then. And that's totally understandable and fine. And, this isn't your full-time job. This is not putting bread on the table. So don't worry about, well, bread's not paleo. This is not putting bacon on the table. So, don't stress about not performing at 105% all the time when, real life is going to have a say. And you need to allow yourself to be not at your optimal level of performance all the time, because the important thing is you're still showing up and you're still walking in the door every day and doing the thing that is eventually going to work. And it's fine to use it as your therapy. Not every day has to be about PRs. Some days it's about surviving.
Absolutely. Yes. As you go in and, you tend to have, so yes, you can come in any class in the course of a day. We offer 6 classes, but you tend to have the regular athletes in the regular classes more times than not. And so you your athletes. if you give any little bit of care, you're going to get to know them outside of the gym too. So you know when things aren't going right. And I've seen so many times where a coach will say, are you okay? What's going on after class? And you know, the coach and athlete will talk for several minutes, and it'll always be about something outside of the gym. It's never going to be about, well, did I have hip extension on my clean and jerk because I'm really stressing out about that? It's never about that. It's something else completely.
Yeah, as much as my split jerk footwork bothers me, it is rarely the thing that keeps me downtrodden, you know, for weeks at a time inside and out of the gym. You mentioned outside of the gym, and there's two things that there's kind of two avenues of attack I want to take on this question. The first is that for a while, you guys moved last year from your smack in the middle of downtown facility to just south of downtown. And that was an unexpectedly complicated journey. For a while, you guys were literally working out outside the gym.
Yeah. So we did not get our lease renewed. Like we had a verbal agreement with the new building owner. And so we had 30 days to find a new location. And that was hard, but I found one, and it is just south of the downtown area, 1.8 miles exactly from our old location. So while I was expecting to lose members specifically in the noon class, because now they're having to not just walk from their office to the gym, they're having to get in their car and drive, our noon class is still our largest class. We lost under 10 members from our move, and we continue to add more members each month. So the first few months were lots of unexpected challenges and hurdles that we had to jump through with various requirements from the city and the landlord and the lease agreement and all of those fun things that I didn't even know I needed to learn about. But I figured it out. And I drank a lot of wine during that time, I would say. But the athletes, they were absolutely amazing, and they still are absolutely amazing. You know, anytime that they see a little bit more progress on the gym, they will be sure to tell me that it looks great, or that we're doing a good job and we're working hard, and they know that, and that means more to me than anything. Because at the end of the day, it's not for me; it's all for them. And it's to make sure that this community continues to thrive.
And people want to show up so much that they're willing to show up in July in Iowa in a parking lot to work out with you guys. Like that can't be overstated. And they liked it so much that they're asking to, you told me before we came on air, they're asking to do it again this summer.
Yeah. So we had to work out in the parking lot, which we called it in the yard. And they were hoping that once it gets warmer, we would go back out there. Would that be okay? And or this workout would be great if we could do it outside. And so, yeah, we can do that. We can set that up and have a lot of fun. And our hashtag for the summer was jacked and tan. So we'll do that again.
You might as well just append it to your name. Now you're going to be Max Oxygen CrossFit Downtown in the Yard.
Right. Yeah. That was a popular hashtag for the summer, and it'll come back. And I mean, but really when we were talking about it, in all seriousness, people are working in an office, you know, from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. And then they go home. So they don't really get to be outside. It's nice. So having that hour that they get to have social time, they get to work out, and then they get to get some vitamin D. I mean, what could be better? Yeah,
it's almost like you need a retractable roof on the building anyway.
Right?
I keep arguing for that. And then I get told it's very expensive. The other avenue I wanted to take with this outside the gym thing is that your gym is unique among the gyms that I've been to so far in that you guys hang out all the time. This is not a gym that you go to and then you only see those people 5 hours a week or 6 hours a week. You guys, I see the pictures. You guys are out all the time. And my wife and I got swept up in it when we were there quite by accident.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys, like you said, these are going to be my friends now? Or were you guys all friends before you came to the gym? Or how did this all happen?
No, certainly it is the power of community. And, you know, we love to see you that hour a day you work out, but we also like to know what you look like without sweat running down your face and without having gym clothes on and wearing maybe jeans or getting crazy and wearing something fancy. So we try to plan at least monthly events, and sometimes like Christmas is my favorite and the coach's favorite. So it's like every weekend leading up to Christmas, we have something that we're doing. And the open, we're doing events for that. So we have outside of the box events that we are lining up for those 5 weeks. And then anything in between. It's actually very rare that we don't have an event on a monthly basis. And sometimes it gets 2 to 3 times. It kind of gets crazy in the summertime because we love summer. And we'll do breweries, and we'll go to, we did camping last year. You name it. If there's an interest and somebody wants to do it at the gym, if I don't know about it, then I have them help me co-host it, and we figure it out, and people show up.
That's awesome. I want to swing the ship around a sharp 180 and talk about when communities go wrong, right? We've all kind of seen or heard of gyms where the community falls apart, or maybe it wasn't that strong to start with. Or in the case of the unfortunate situation in North Carolina a few weeks ago, the gym owner does something really boneheaded and posts pictures he shouldn't have posted on social media. And then his gym just got scuttled and destroyed. Do you guys look at situations like that as teachable moments, or do you bring those up and say, if I catch any one of you doing this, I will throttle you to within an inch of your life? Or how does that work?
I don't even need to have a discussion with our coaches. They know. Our coaching team is a very strong team. I mean, we're all friends outside of the gym too, and we've been together for several years. It isn't something that when someone says, I want to be a coach and okay, like I'll put you on. No, it's I got to trust you first, then get your level 1, and then we'll see about it. So all of our coaching staff, they're just great people, and they know better. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like it's common sense for them, but it also helps that I run the social media, so it's on me. If something goes wrong, it's on me. I don't have anybody else do that, and I'm very particular on anything that gets posted, even in terms of making sure that form looks good, because that is part of our message. Like you need to be able to move well, and if you PR'd and that didn't look right, it's not going to go. It's not going to go up on social media, and athletes know that too.
I think that's a point that's not emphasized enough for any gym, and this is not just leveled at CrossFit gyms, but the images and videos that you put forward, whether they're on your website or your Facebook page or whatever, that's the first thing that people are going to find out about your gym. And so if they're looking for a place to go learn how to move well, move better, get stronger, and they see these like flailing, desperate, scary looking attempts that happen on your Facebook page, well, of course, that's what they're going to think is going on there. Even if that's not representative of the majority of the experience that you're going to have at that gym, you can't be too careful in what you're putting out there, because it's crucially important to your reputation and to your public perception.
Right. Absolutely. So my nickname is Judgy Jess, but but I do it in the nicest way. But I am very critical of what I see. So I am very aware of what we post to make sure that it is appropriate, and it is something that no matter who sees it, there's going to be no question that movement was good, or that it was appropriate.
And I wish more gym owners paid more attention to that. It's one thing that, the guy in North Carolina lost his business because he made a really stupid decision. And that can be kind of taken a couple of different ways, as far as, maybe this was a missed opportunity. I read an op-ed from an athlete who is in that area, and I think it was in the Raleigh-Durham paper down there. And she said that she wished that the torches and pitchforks hadn't come out quite so quickly, because this was an opportunity to reform a situation. But on the other hand, man, I don't know if you deserve to have your business keep going if you're going to make stupid decisions like that. And I don't think enough people are paying as much attention as they should. And everybody wants to say, oh, well, that wouldn't happen to me. But it only takes the wrong person looking at something the wrong way one time. If you're not consistently paying attention and being careful, or if you have 3 or 4 athletes at your gym who help you with the social media, that you're opening yourself up a little bit to some liability there. So you have to really establish a level of trust. The other thing you brought up there that I want to kind of emphasize is that not just any schmuck off the street walks in and ends up being a coach.
Right.
And this is something that's very, very specific to CrossFit gyms. And CrossFit gyms sometimes deservedly get a bad rap for some very amateurish coaching. But at most CrossFit gyms, and especially the CrossFit gyms that are going to be around in 4 to 5 years when the thinning of the herd has finished, and it's happening already in a lot of areas, the ones that are going to be left standing are the ones that have the highest standards for their coaches. And when I changed gyms, I didn't get to go coach immediately at my next gym because I need to be part of that community first. I have to be known to the athletes. I have to be known to the other coaches. We have to come to an agreement on what our view of the world looks like and everything else. That doesn't happen at a 24-hour fitness, right? If you're at a typical gym, somebody walks in with a resume that may or may not be any good, and then they get hired, and then they start coaching. There's very little, sort of personal or professional buy-in process.
Right. So you absolutely need to understand the community. People need to like you. You need to develop those relationships because it's all about relationships. Then I can help you with the coaching development piece. That's the easy part. But if you're not a good person and you don't care, you don't show that you care, then I can't fix that for you. I can't help you with that. And so it's certainly, we got lucky when we were needing a coach a couple years ago, and I was in the midst of actually publishing a post to look for another trainer. And lo and behold, we found Leah, and she was moving from another small community, and she was looking for a box just to even drop into a couple of times a week closer to her home here in Des Moines. And she had said, I have my level 1. And so then I had one of our co-owners, David, interview her on the phone. And then she came in and we had her work out with the other athletes in the classes for a couple of weeks. And then she observed some classes. And she was an unusual case because I knew like she fit with us. Like you could tell that she's a caring person. She had several years of coaching experience. And every time I go back and I think about Leah, and I think like, once again, like she fell into our lap at the right time. I couldn't go out and find her.
Right. And even as qualified as she was, her interview was like a month long.
Yeah, at least a month.
Yeah. So I think this whole talk has been a really good primer on what to do right if you're going to own a CrossFit gym, or if you're already running a CrossFit gym and you're wondering why things aren't going the way they could. Maybe take some tips from Max Oxygen CrossFit Downtown in Des Moines, Iowa. Jess, this has been a bunch of fun. You've opened my eyes to a few things that I need to look for moving forward. What's next for you? I saw on the website you're chasing down a nutrition certification next.
Oh, yeah. So I've been working on that, but my level 3 came first and I needed to kind of balance my priorities. So yeah, I'll do a nutrition certification as my goal for this year. And then really what I'm doing now is I'm practicing at getting better at coaching because when that level 4 comes out, it's going to be coaching a group of individuals and they're going to be assessing your ability to do that in that hour or however long they give you. I don't know because I don't have the information out yet, but my next long-term goal is the level 4. So working on that.
You're going to have all the levels. If they had a level 7, I'm pretty sure you would
I'm going to learn all of the CrossFit and be the highest CrossFit coach possible.
That's awesome. But I like to joke about people who are all in for CrossFit, but somebody who's chasing it for the right reasons, people who are chasing down that knowledge to make themselves better and who have that mindset that you have, that it's about the athlete. It's not about the gym and it's not about the coach. It's about the athlete. That's the right mindset to have. Jess, this has been a ton of fun. I can't wait to sit down with you again later this year and see how your nutrition cert worked out and see what new knowledge you can dump on me from that. If people want to go find out more, where do they find you guys?
You can find us on our website at maxoxygencrossfitdowntown.com. You can, we do a lot of stuff on Instagram, so our Instagram handle is mo2dt, and we also have a Facebook page.
Which is also a ton of fun. Jess, thanks again for your time, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, thank you.